Hey Sue, how you going? Simple interest versus compound interest. Firstly, two key things you're looking for. Simple interest, you're looking for a real key term there, a flat rate, whereas compound interest should say compounding annually. So if I start with the simple interest formula of I equals PRN, I is standing for the interest. Principal is going to be, for that question that you said, $10,000. Now the rate of 10%, you need to use the decimal value for that of 0.1. So obviously you're dividing 10% or 10 by 100. And then the N is 5 years. Once you then substitute that into the formula, for part 1 of that question that I had listed there, we're just trying to work out the interest. Now you've got to note that this formula calculates the interest alone. The compound interest formula will actually add the interest on to the principal. So your answers are a little bit different in how they're presented. So part 2, we've just worked out their interest of $5,000. Part 2, I've got a value there, A, and that's standing for the total amount of that investment. So to work that out, you'd have your starting principal plus the interest you've earned, which should be the $10,000 plus the $5,000 that we just worked out. And obviously then getting an answer of $15,000. If you look then at the compound interest, more complicated formula, and we are looking for that compounding annually at this stage. So we start off, and good thing about these two formulas is that the P, R and N all represent the same values in both formulas. So we've still got our $10,000 for principal. We still have our rate of 10%, which we again need to write as a decimal. So you divide by 100 and get 0.1. And then our N is still 5 years. Now this time, this is part 1 of that question, which is going to find the amount. So different to the simple interest formula, this amount here that we're calculating using this formula is actually going to add the interest on to the principal. So we're going to have our $10,000 plus the interest presented as our one answer here, which is $16,105. And always with these questions, you round them to 2 decimal places because they're a currency. And so if we look then at part 2 of the question, it asks us to calculate the interest alone. So we need to then, just to work out the interest, we take that amount we just calculated and subtract from it the opening principal. So we do the $6,105 that we just calculated, and we subtract from that original $10,000. And so we have interest then of $6,105.10. And you can compare that with the answer of $5,000 of interest for simple interest. So compound interest certainly adds more to your value. Now this extension question I've got here is just for situations where in the question it states that it's compounding at any rate other than annually. So in this extension question I've got that it's compounding monthly. The first thing that will affect is the rate. Now the rate then we need to divide by 12 because there's 12 months in the year. Now it's much easier on the calculator entering these to just leave it as 0.1, so we've changed the 10% still to 0.1 and just leave that over 12. And the second thing that's affected by compounding monthly is the term is multiplied by 12. So the rate is divided by 12 and the term is multiplied by 12. So when we substitute this into our formula, again it's much easier to leave the rate. In this case, we're going to do 1 plus 0.1, which was 10%, over 12. If you try and do that part just on your calculator, you get a recurring decimal, which will affect the answer slightly because of the rounding that you use. Okay, and you can see if you compare your answer there, 16,453, you actually get a bit more than compounding monthly. Okay, well, that's it. I hope that helps, and give us a call if you need anything else.